After a robust main game and 2 great DLC chapters, Crown of the Ivory King, the third and final part of the trilogy, seems to go out of its way to catch you off guard. While it absolutely relies on a core foundation, its best moments are arrestingly creative. As a whole, Crown of the Ivory King is a worthy send-off, further establishing Dark Souls 2 as one of the most captivating games of the year. In the previous DLC, players traversed a labyrinthine underground ruin and then an ashen iron wasteland. This episode takes you through the frigid remnants of an ancient castle. Nearly everything is covered in opaque ice that can make the scenery both tranquil and haunting. If there's one disappointment visually, it's that many enemies feel like blue versions of things you've already seen. The most common enemies are humanoid soldiers that are very easy to backstab. Some of the soldiers have giant ice crystals protruding out of them, preventing you from cutting them down via the reliable method, but even then their attacks are predictable enough that it's easy to block and counter. There are certainly a couple of enemies that did impress, which we won't spoil, but for the most part, they're standard fare. Although the enemies themselves are not always the most interesting opponents, they're positioned in devious ways. Numerous times an unseen enemy snuck out of a corner or crevice and very nearly ended our lives. Crown of the Ivory King loves to trap unprepared players. This is most evident in the invading NPC Dark Phantoms. 2 of the 3 Phantoms employ clever tricks instead of relying on a straightforward assault. To say any more would ruin it, but they're unexpected in all the right ways. As you wander through the Cold Keep, you'll see several areas, pathways, and treasure chests frozen in ice. After completing a specific task, the ice melts. Of course, Dark Souls 2 doesn't just give you these things without a struggle. Previously harmless enemies come to life, making things even more difficult. Backtracking can be a pain, but in Crown of the Ivory King, it's enticing, with plenty of worthwhile rewards for those that love covering every last inch. The DLC's crowning achievements are the boss fights. The first is invisible until after acquiring a specific item, but things don't get much easier once you can see it. It's a giant crystalline saber-toothed tiger that makes the enormous bridge you fight on feel claustrophobic. The otherworldly cat is so good at covering space, and his swipes are so vicious, that we had to enlist help before taking him down. It's a potent reminder that when Dark Souls is at its best, it offers truly memorable and fearsome confrontations, which is even more applicable when describing the second boss. Again, we'll be vague, but no single battle in the series has had such scale. It'll test you in ways you haven't been tested before, and is so intense, we couldn't imagine a more fitting end to the trilogy. As with the other DLC, an optional challenge area exists in Crown of the Ivory King, but it takes a much different form. Instead of a long tunnel crammed with enemies, it's a vast and completely open field. A billowing snowstorm hinders visibility to a crippling degree and only slows down for brief moments. In many ways, it's similar to Tomb of the Giants, which was one of the most challenging areas in the original game. Dark Souls is already intimidating, but taking away a player's sight is a special kind of terror that we wish the series would shoot for more. Our only gripe is that it doesn't last very long, preventing the sensation from settling in. The fight waiting at the end is also unexceptional. While certainly trying, it lacks the uniqueness of the other bosses, making it feel less momentous. Crown of the Ivory King is exhausting, but at the end of it all, the predominant emotion swelling inside of us was sadness. We wanted more, one more boss fight, one more tucked away room, not because the DLC is lacking, but because we didn't want to leave. This may be the last we hear of Dark Souls 2, but it went out with a bang.